a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Carmen Sandiego. Carmen Sandiego is a media franchise that is also a series of computer games created by the American software company Broderbund. Originally classified as a mystery exploration series by creators and the media, the series were later classified as edutainment when the games became unexpectedly popular in classrooms. The franchise centers around the fictional thieving villain of the same name, who is the ringleader of the criminal organization, V.I.L.E. The protagonists are agents of the ACME Detective Agency who try to thwart the crooks' plans to steal treasures from around the world, while the later ultimate goal is to capture Carmen Sandiego herself. The franchise primarily focuses on teaching children geography, but has also branched out into history, mathematics, language arts, and other subjects. An attempt was made to create a series of state-specific games in the 1980s, but the only prototype to be completed was North Dakota. Beginning in 1988, Carmen Sandiego Days became popular across American public schools. In the 1990s, the franchise extended into 3 television shows, books and comics, board games, a concert series, 2 planetarium shows, and 2 music albums. Towards the turn of the 21st century, the Carmen Sandiego property passed through a series of 5 corporate hands: Broderbund, The Learning Company, Mattel, The Gauze Group, and River Deep. Subsequent acquisitions and mergers of River Deep led to the franchise currently being in the possession of Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. The franchise has become known for its ability to surreptitiously teach facts, breed empathy for other cultures, and develop logic skills, all behind a mask of highly entertaining detective mystery experiences. One aspect of the series that has received consistent praise by critics is its diverse representation of strong, independent, and intelligent minority women. Carmen Sandiego herself is Hispanic, and it has never been implied that her ethnicity is correlated to her thievery. Meanwhile, the chief from the World Game Show was African American, an unusual choice for children's television when she appeared between 1991 and 1996. These 2 characters have helped to bring such representations into the mainstream and demonstrate leadership roles for young women. It has been noted that many of the geographical locations at the time of the franchise's release were no longer accurate, due to the events such as the dissolutions of the Soviet Union, Yugoslavia, and Czechoslovakia that signaled the end of the Cold War. Carmen Sandiego has maintained a considerable popularity and commercial success over its history. Carmen Sandiego is one of the top 30 longest-running video game series, having existed for just over 30 years with the release of Returns in 2015. By 1997, Carmen Sandiego games had been translated into 3 different languages, and over 5 million copies had been sold into schools and homes worldwide. All 3 television shows have together been nominated for a grand total of 45 Daytime Emmy Awards, while World also won a Peabody Award. They had a combined viewing audience of over 10 million viewers each week. The franchise will continue on television with the premiere of an eponymous Netflix series, which is due to air in 2019. Background: 1983-1985. The original game idea started in 1983 from Broderbund programmer Dane Bigham, wanting to take the idea of text adventure games like Colossal Cave Adventure, but create a menu-driven interface to be played on the Apple II computer. Initial work was done with Broderbund's Rubberum artists, Gene Portwood and Lauren Elliott, creating a game where the player would chase down various crooks. Broderbund co-founder Gary Carlston suggested changing the concept to be focused on geography, anticipating shipping copies of the World Almanac to let players research clues and find the right answers for geography questions. As Bigham was not thrilled with this direction, he focused more on the interface, and Carlston hired David Siefkin to write the game's story. Siefkin came up with the idea of the player tracking down numerous criminals, and developed several criminal personas, including Carmen Sandiego. The other staff found this name mysterious and exotic. In addition to being a female character they could use to attract younger women to the game. From Siefkin's script, they expanded out the idea of the criminal organization V.I.L.E. Villains International League of Evil, and the ACME Detective Agency, with ACME jokingly considered an initialism for a company that makes everything. The core gameplay was then established, having the player as an ACME recruit to chase down underlings within V.I.L.E, following geography-based clues to complete their search, and working up their ranks in ACME until they were tasked to go after Carmen herself. The game proved successful, unexpected from the educational market, as it became a staple in many classrooms. Broderbund era, 1985-1998. During the 1980s and the 1990s, Broderbund followed the first Carmen Sandiego video game with USA Europe, Time, America's Past, Space, and Junior Detective, reboots of World, USA and Great Chase Through Time, and finally released Word Detective and Math Detective. The first 7 games of the franchise were each awarded 1 or more SBA Excellence in Software awards, particularly for their educational effort. Carmen Sandiego games comprised 25% of Broderbund's total revenue in 1992, behind only the print shop. By 1997, Carmen Sandiego games had been translated into 3 different languages and over 5 million copies had been sold into schools and homes worldwide. Carmen Sandiego also appeared in 3 television shows during this era. The World Game Show was broadcast on PBS between 1991 and 1996, and won 6 Daytime Emmy Awards and a Peabody Award. World was followed by Time, which would later air up until its cancellation in 1998 due to the geography-based premise having run its entire course. It was acknowledged that history can be more subjective than geography. But the show hoped to tackle challenging material like the Japanese-American internment camps during World War II in a straightforward and educational way. The Earth animated series was broadcast on Fox between 1994 and 1999. In 1996, President Bill Clinton stated, "When I met the co-leaders of San Marino at the Olympics, I knew where it was, because of Carmen Sandiego." The Learning Company era, 1998-present. After Broderbund ceased to exist in 1998, the Learning Company apparently sought to redesign the series. The company determined that the brand was stagnating, but thought it easier to revive an established brand than start a new one. Under the Learning Company, the series seems to take its premise more seriously and uses character-based humor. Since the Learning Company has only created 2 Carmen Sandiego games, one of which is no longer sold, this change is evident mainly through the marketing of select Broderbund products. The first title released by the Learning Company was Think Quick Challenge, a quiz game with a similar tonality to Word Detective and Math Detective, which included the reappearance of Chase Divinos. The new structure of time was apparently to the Learning Company's liking, since their new version of World, titled Treasures of Knowledge, was similar. The Learning Company decided to return the series to its original focus on geography, discontinuing Word Detective, Math Detective, and Think Quick Challenge. In 2004, BAM! Entertainment released The Secret of the Stolen Drums on the GameCube, Xbox, and PlayStation 2. It is so far the only game of the franchise to use real-time 3D computer graphics, although many previous games had used pre-rendered 3D graphics. It was also an action game, and while geographical facts were included, learning them was not necessary to complete the game. Although the Learning Company evidently licensed the use of the series as well as some of their own characters from Treasures of Knowledge, this game is not distributed by or sold under the Learning Company name. An upcoming Netflix series called Carmen Sandiego is scheduled to air in 2019. World. This was the PBS game show designed for children ages 8-12. The World Game Show was staged in a slightly off-skew detective office, which was part of the ACME Agency, with Lynn Thigpen portraying the chief, and Greg Lee portraying himself as a special agent in charge of training new recruits. Greg was helped in this training by various live-action and animated characters. Among the show's most popular were the members of the a cappella house band and comedy troupe, Rockapella, who also sang the show's main theme song. The game was played in 3 rounds. The first round was Q&A, where the 2 gumshoes with the highest scores proceeded to a second round. In the second round, the 2 remaining gumshoes had to find the loot, the warrant, and the cartoon crook in the correct order. The winning gumshoe captured the day's crook and later advanced to the third and final round, to capture Carmen. As Greg shouted the names or places in a region of the world, the gumshoe had to place a marker on the corresponding place on a giant map of that area within a 45 seconds time limit. A successful gumshoe who placed all the correct locations and captured Carmen would win a trip to anywhere in the contiguous United States, and later in North America. Time. The Time game show refocused the show on history, but was otherwise similar to World, with Thigpen reprising her role as the chief. Kevin Shinnick portrayed himself as a time pilot squadron leader, and Rockapella was replaced by a different dance group, the Engine Crew. The third and final round of the game involved the pilot answering 6 various history-related questions to open time gates. If the pilot answered correctly, he or she passed through the gate. Otherwise, the pilot had to turn a crank, pull a lever, or do some other task within the 90 seconds time limit. A successful pilot who passed through all 6 gates and captured Carmen would win a personal computer. Earth. The Earth animated series was a Saturday morning cartoon series produced by Dick Entertainment. The series features the adventures of Zack and Ivy, 2 teenage siblings who worked as ACME agents in San Francisco and were aided by the Max Headroom-like chief, who had to stop Carmen and her henchmen from stealing artifacts from around the world. The series was the first Saturday morning children's program ever to win the Best Animated Program Emmy in 1996. Its episodes have subsequently been repeated on the Fox Family Channel, the PAGS Network, Hub TV, and Univision. The first season was released on DVD by Shout Factory in 2006, and the complete series was later released by Mill Creek Entertainment in 2012. John Peel book series. In the early 1990s, in response to the successful Carmen Sandiego franchise, editor Sharon Shavers was tasked with turning the games into a book series. She gave the responsibility to John Peel. His research consisted of playing all the games, and this was followed by Sharon and him working out a format for the series before he commenced writing. While in the past his natural tendency to add jokes to his work had been looked down upon, Sharon actually asked him to put more in. The art was done by Alan Newworth. The premise of each choose-your-own-adventure book is that you are the detective, and each title features 4 exciting detective adventures inside. The books are written in the second person and in present tense, and have removable inserts that provided clues and the identities of the villains. The books are published by the Canadian branch of Golden Books Publishing. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?